Welcome to Recovering Your Voice. This is a place where we can share stories together. My name is Bonnie.
I'm Caroline.
And I'm Collette.
And today, Collette has something on her heart that we're going to share together and talk about and hear directly from her heart. Collette.
I just thought that we're asking you to share your stories and be vulnerable to us. So we need to be vulnerable with you. It's a tough season right now in my life. I lost somebody very dear to me, a father figure to me. And with that, it's bringing such a revelation of how much we need love in our life, guiding light of love. And I know no greater love than God of love. And I just want to introduce you to me finally meeting him after 30 years in the church. 30 years in the church. It wasn't God's love that wasn't bringing me through or trying to scream at me, he loves me. It was my house of cards that was getting in the way. And he has been dismantling it. It can be painful sometime. It can be marinated sometime, as in like marinating, or it can be sledgehammer marrying sometime. But it's always done in love. I just want to say the first house of card that needed to be removed was me working for his love. Me doing everything I could to earn the God of love's love, which was already pre-existing. That's who he is. He's love. And the way I did that was, you name it, I did it in the church. If it was the books, I did it. If it was kids' church, I did it. If it was intercessory group, I did it. I tried to reach him with my ladder going up, over and over, trying to reach God of love. And all the time, he was the ladder coming down. I just want to say to you that you can rest. You can rest in his love. You can soak in his love. You can abide in his love. You don't have to do for his love.
Collette, could you share a little bit more about what it means when you said the ladder going up and the ladder going down?
There's so many people have a deficit of love in them. We all need to be loved and accepted, unity, fellowship. But the greatest need we have is to have purpose in love. And the only place I know to get both is through my God of love. And the ladder is everybody trying to reach that love in different religions, different beliefs. And there's none that we're up against in any way. I just found that I was trying to reach him with my ladder of Christianity, going up and trying to meet him. And the only religion I have experienced is that ladder is a two-way ladder, and he's come down to meet me in the form of his son, Jesus. He already came down way before I was born, but not before he thought of me, because he said he thought of me before the beginning of time. That's love. That is definitely love. So I guess, Bonnie, I would say to you, that's the reason why I climbed that ladder, because for God so loved the world, for God so loved Collette, that he came down that ladder in the form of his son. And I'm not preaching at you, audience. I'm just, if anybody knows me, they know my heart. I love to share. And I love to share when there's something so precious and so beautiful. It just multitudes it when you share it. So this is my heart. I'm not saying receive it. I'm not saying this is my story. And I want to hear your story because I want my story to grow.
I just have a question. I wondered how you came to realize that it was not about you climbing up, but it was about you receiving what he had already climbed down to give you. Was it something you understood from a story of someone else's, something you understood from the Bible, possibly? How did you finally come to that?
To be completely honest, I was in a season in my life, the weakest season in my life. I had nothing to give, nothing. My mother had just died. I had had a very busy time the year before with caregiving and loving and picking up responsibilities. So I never allowed myself to feel. So when she passed away, I had nothing. So how I cope, I don't know how you guys cope, but how I cope is I go to sleep and eat dilly bars. So I grew spiritually and physically in that year that I would sleep almost the full year. When I asked my husband how I'm doing, he said, "Oh, so much better, honey. You're awake more than you're asleep," which, is such his heart of loving me and releasing me to do what I need to do. But in that time of that constant, almost sleeping 24 hours a day, I was listening to the Message Bible. And I've listened, I read NIV and all different, and if you're wondering what that is, it's different translations of the Bible, and you can become numb to the Word of God because you've read it so much or heard it so much. And I believe my heart was hardened to the Word of God. But with the Message Bible, it is our language. It's like the Passion Translation is our language of the day. And I just needed to hear God's voice as somebody friendly, loving, open, applicable to 2000, I believe it was 11. I needed to hear that voice then. And I did. And I would be like almost asleep. And I'd hear things like, "You don't save yourself. God does all the saving." And things like, "God preordained and loved you before you were even born. And, God knows the number of hair on your head." And I'm going, "Okay, here's another count, Lord. Start again." Just continuing. Just words of affirmation. But what really penetrated my heart was that you cannot earn his love. And there was so many scriptures that was misconstrued, whether given to me or that came into my filters, that I thought I was only acceptable if I was making Daddy proud or doing for him. Meanwhile, it was like he had showed me a picture years ago of him standing there with a downy white towel just coming out of the dryer. And it smelled that fresh smell. And he was going, "Come to me, Collette, come to me." And I stood there and said, "I can't, I'll get you dirty." And I believed in my dirt more than I believed in his love. So when I laid there, not able to do anything for myself, for him, for my family, he wrapped that towel around me tight and held me tight and rocked me to sleep. And through that journey, through those sleep times, he healed me, because I never had a chance to grieve my mom in that year. But through dreams, he would take me on a healing journey. He would start with seeing my mom in a dream and me getting to see my mom, and then, gently reintroducing that, she is dying. And I'd go, "Oh," and I'd start to grieve a little bit, but he knew I'd become undone if he gave me all of it at once. I would have been derailed, like the slag pouring off a train. They do one, not all of them at a time, because it would derail the train. He was pouring the slag in my life one at a time. And then gradually through that year, and the last dream he gave me was, I saw my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm so confused. I don't know if you're alive or dead." And she said, "I love you." and I never had to go through that part of the dream again. Oh, he still heals me. He still speaks to me in dreams, but that healing took place in my dreams. So I guess, Carol Ann, when I realized that I was loved without doing anything for a year, you can't take that away. It was from the inside out, not the outside in, trying to earn.
Collette, you talk about God as your daddy. For some people, that might be a strange term. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that comes about, or how do we have the privilege of calling him daddy?
I was introduced to God, I would say, through the 10 Commandments or the rules and the regulations and the shoulds and should nots, and kind of like, there is that part of God. There's a part of our dad naturally and our moms naturally that we need rules, we need boundaries. But my pendulum was swung way too far in the rules. Abba, Daddy, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. God loved me so much that he gave what he loved so much to gain my love. How can you not love a God like that? I can't understand a God like that, but I can rest in that love. So that's why I choose to call him different names to remind myself of his character: God of love, Creator God, Abba Daddy, just to remind myself the faithfulness of God and the privilege to be his daughter. It's a relationship. It's not a religion. So I guess that's why I call him Daddy, to remind myself I'm not under the rules of earning. I still want to please Daddy's heart. And I still, he even likes my quirky personality. He showed me that. I like to remind myself that yes, God is a God of rules, but he's Abba Daddy, that he loves me, and that's why the rules are there. And it's easier to abide through love than through fear. Fear only lasts so long. Love lasts forever. So I want him to be Abba Daddy love. I say Abba Daddy Creator God, God of love. Whatever I'm going through, I give the title of who he is, Provider God. Oh, I could tell you stories of the Provider God in my life that are, I'm going to say it, miracles. And that's another podcast or YouTube video or whatever we're going to call it here. But yes, I had to give him a different name so I could see him differently, to the point that I had to give myself a different name also, because the Collette before saw God differently, and under the name Christian, represented God not accurately, not lovingly. I represented God more Old Testament than the loving God of the New Testament. And God showed me this very clearly when he spoke to me and said, "You have used my words, my Bible, as a weapon to fight others with, to prove a point with others. And I intended my word to be an invitation for my love." I cannot tell you how much that made me become undone. So now I choose to call myself different names, and it could be chaser of God, follower after the heart of God, the Ecclesia of the Church of God. I just need some healing time for the word Christian, because I misrepresented and I lost people's trust with using his loving words as a weapon. I represented God the way God truly is not. So I had to also change my name in my heart to say what I need to represent as being his daughter. That's a two-way street. He's my Abba daddy, but I'm his daughter.
Collette, when you talk about God, you talk like he's a friend, like you have a relationship with him. Could you describe that a little bit more for our viewers?
Yeah, I do. I do have a relationship with him. As a kid, I had a lot of woundedness, and I don't go garbage picking unless God says, let's go back there together. Let's go back there together and get rid of that. Because when whatever it could be, everybody has garbage in their life, whatever it was, I chose to believe a lie instead of who God says I am at that moment. And God brings me back to a journey of healing the wounds. And, I don't elevate the wounds. I elevate the love of God healing, because love covers a multitude of sin, be it my own or those that were perpetrated on me. I don't have time for hate. I really don't. I want to just love, because there's a famine in the land. There is a famine in the land of love. So when you say personal relationship or personal, it is, Bonnie, it truly is, because technically I should be in an insane asylum, perhaps jail, on the streets, numbing. I do numb. I admit it. I numb different ways. We all do, be it, binge watching on Netflix, or, dilly bars when my mom died. Needless to say, I numb. But God is helping me to choose less destructive ways of numbing. And I can't do that in my own strength, because I've tried it and it doesn't work. So yeah, he's not only my God and not only my Savior, but he saved me. So yes, he is a personal friend, but that only comes from the inside out. And if I'm walking around demonstrating him as a God of rules, who wants that? Who can embrace that? He is my best friend.
You understood God say to you that his word was not a weapon, but rather an invitation. What did you understand that to be? And is that something that you can share with our listeners so that they can understand too that he is giving them an invitation?
Yeah. Just like I had to learn of God from, just not the Old Testament, but the New Testament, an invitation to the New Testament. I was a little bit older when I started walking into that, and I went to a youth group. And the most, if you want a love encompassed in a person, I'll just say her first name, Linda, led it with her husband, Glenn. And it was a traumatic time in my life. There was a lot going on. My mom had just left. So, I had lost my mom. I was kind of floating out there. And I mean by left, that the marriage had separated. And I was going to a Bible study and was introduced to the God of love that loved me. And the invitation was presented as, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that who should ever believe in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. And I thought, wow, God's love is demonstrated through his son. And I remember hearing the next thing, would you like to become the family of God? And it's like, wow, sign me up. Sign me up. I was feeling kind of like in the deficit of family at that moment. So to have, a complete family, and knowing that God loved me so much that he gave up what he loved so much to get my love, you can't ignore an invitation like that. So the family grew with Collette that day. And I could call Jesus my brother, and Abba Daddy, Bonnie. I could call him Abba Daddy, my daddy. Yeah, it was an invitation to open my heart to him. And I get so excited when my family grows. And what I mean by my family is the family of God grows. It excites me. It excites me because it puts me on a deeper level with another person. Not that I'm not on a deep level with my friends that are not Christians or anything. It's just it opens a different dialogue of something else that we love together. Just like, I have friends that I love other things together with. This just opened up a different dimension for me of including more people in my life, more people in my family, and the loneliness and the missing and the grief was more bearable because it was carried together with the family. So, Linda, if you're ever watching this, thank you. Thank you so much for caring. And by the way, guys, my mom went to that Bible study after to check out to make sure that her kids were okay going to it. And that's love, that's boundaries, that's rules.
Collette, just as you were in a really dark place or a grief-stricken spot at that moment when you invited the invitation, there may be viewers out there right now who are feeling alone, who are feeling saddened, overwhelmed, desperate for hope. What would you say to them?
I would say, I understand walls around hearts. I understand disappointments. I understand pain. Take the chance. If you're going to let anybody in that heart, let it be God first. Let it be God first so that he can help you with all the other pain because he loves you. And it's not certain words. It's just help. I can't tell you how many times my prayer is help, or God, open doors that need to be open and close doors that need to be closed because I'm not smart enough to know the difference. Just stuff like that. Just open your heart and just say, God, I want to meet you. I don't know, some might not be ready for his son, and that's okay. That's okay. Just don't go through this life alone. I know we're not going to survive this life, but it sure helps you to endure this life a little bit easier, of not being alone. And when it's in you, you carry that light. You carry that hope for this time. Oh, for this time, people. If it wasn't for the hope in the times we're in right now, it doesn't make the bad times go away. It just makes you know that you're not going through them alone. And, Bonnie, I love you. Caroline, I love you, but you can't be with me 24 hours a day. I know you got my back, girls, but not like God does. God's with me awake, asleep. He's got my back. He's got my back. That does not mean bad things won't happen. It just means I will give him the bad things and trust that going through his love, it will change. It'll become something good because that's who he is. That's exactly who he is. So the character of God will come through the situation if I invite him in. So am I concerned about the times we're in? Oh, yes. Do I go through my ups and down days because the times we're in? Without a doubt. I still take naps. Okay, that's how I deal. I still take naps. But I'm not alone. And that makes all the difference. And I know you girls got my back. I know that. And it's lovely to have forever friends. But we need more, guys. In these times we're at, we need more. Open your heart, trust. Just take that step of trusting him first. Let him do the rest. You don't have to do anything. I was sleeping when I was getting healed. Like I did nothing. That was so contrary to what I believed with that house of cards. Like, that was the first card that was pulled. So I do not earn his love.
Well, Collette, I want to thank you for your sharing your story today, for sharing your vulnerability, for being real and open and honest with us and with our viewers. We thank you so much for your loving heart.
Thank you. I just want to encourage the viewers that there's healing in telling our stories. There's healing in baby steps, but there's healing in telling our story. Start telling your story to God first, and he'll bring the healing. He'll bring the healing. Then share with us, okay?
And on that point, if you want to share anything that you've seen on this show today or others, you can reach us at recoveringyourvoice, all lowercase, .gmail.com. That's recoveringyourvoice@gmail.com. And we thank you so much, and we hope you'll view in next time.
Let's play with that and see if it comes together. We can all keep the same outfits in case we have to.
We'll take care of continuity later if we need to do retakes.
120. Yep. It's kind of like, it does, it doesn't, it does, it doesn't, it does, it doesn't, right? Whoa, that's healing. Do your magic, girl. Clean up on aisle 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, dot.
Yes, keep us moving, Chief.
I know that in math, okay? Dot, to infinity and beyond, okay?